And then finally, 50 minutes into the show, Tony Schiavone was in the ring like Mussolini. About goddamn time. Here came Punk to the ring, carrying his bag in his hand. And he got the Punk chants. Connecticut likes stars, California likes kids. But there were booers also. He played with some of them. He stopped Tony from asking his questions so that they could hear the boos settle in. And, he made a remark, and I realized he was the first goddamn human being on their television to mention Wembley Stadium, wasn't he? We've been following this on the internet.
I hadn't realized that, and until he said it, I'd never realized that no one had brought it up, because we've been talking about it, but it's an interesting thing, isn't it?
And it's been on the internet, and it's been reported on Twitter and on all the wrestling sites, and we've talked about it because they've talked about it, but they've never actually, have they even had the announcers on the show say, hey, by the way, we're running a show and we've sold 70,000 tickets.
Isn't this Vince's biggest dream, to sell all these tickets without announcing any matches?
Yes. And it'll never happen again, probably in history ever going forward for any wrestling promotion, that you would sell this many tickets for a show this far out. They don't even know what they're going to fucking see yet.
Yeah, no wrestler could say they're a drawing card here.
Unless they do WrestleMania and do it in such a building where they can sell more tickets. I don't see how it's ever going to fucking happen again, but nevertheless.
Wembley Stadium 2 nights. That's how it'll happen.
Oh, there you go. And Jesus Christ. And then it'll be 5 hours a night. All right. Well, speaking of which, let's get back over here to Mussolini.
In the afternoon, but yeah, go ahead. Well,
that's better, at least. So he mentioned Wembley and then started talking about Ricky Starks and how he's cheating. How he's cheated or beaten, one or the other. Beaten Punk twice by cheating. And Punk said sometimes you got to wake up and do what you don't want to do because you're the responsible adult in the room. And so he's brought the bag out. And what's in the bag? I'm no more Mr. Nice Guy. Pulls out the AEW belt and declares himself, and we knew this was coming, and it's obviously the natural thing to do. He declares himself the real AEW World Champion. I beat Jon Moxley for this, and nobody has pinned me or submitted me since then. I'm the real champion. This is mine. And he sprayed the black X on the belt as the symbol that he's straight edge, and that means he's better than you. I wonder who else says stuff like that. So that's
minor threat. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that's obviously what they're leading to, because that's what everybody wants to see eventually, but it's subtle and it'll take a while. But he's the real world champion. What were you going to say?
Nothing. Did you notice that he put the X over the E, which is elite, so it's now all X wrestling.
Anyway, here comes Ricky Starks, and it was cute. He came out on his own, but then he stopped and called for his entrance music so he'd get his full entrance like a heel would do. Or maybe even a cocky baby face. And then Starks comes to the ring and says that Punk would have done the same thing that he did. He would have cheated. He would have won the thing by any means necessary, whatever. And he thinks, Starks does, that the belt ought to be his because he beat Punk twice, so he's the real world champion. And they argued back and forth and agreed finally they're going to settle this thing. And Punk said, we got to have a special referee to make sure I don't get jobbed again, by the referee missing some shit if I'm going to defend the title against you. And Starks says, okay. And then they shake hands on it. And next week in Greenville, South Carolina, the special guest referee is going to be Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. I'm waiting for you to cheer. Yay.
I'm supposed to cheer? All right, Dragon. No Bonnie. Yeah.
My Bonnie lies over the ocean.
My
but
body
also,
lies over the sea. I can keep going.
my body lies over the lawyer. Bring back half my money to me. So it's Greenville, South Carolina. Steamboat's going to be over like crazy, and he's in shape, and he'll move around and do a good job. And I'm pretty sure Punk is going to retain this thing. And so at least we got a little special attraction there next week. And that was the promo segment that you mentioned, or that you asked me if I liked. And I said, yeah, there was one. And that was it.
I thought it was great. You wait for stuff like this. You wait for that kind of energy. Punk gets this weird energy now in every room he's in. Sometimes there are more Punk fans. Sometimes there are more Punk booers. It's always energetic. He excels in this kind of environment for a promo better than most people, and it feels more real, more like genuine anger or frustration coming from someone. The belt thing, we'll see how it plays out. If it leads to an eventual merger of the World Championship, which you would think that's where they were going, it makes sense. If not, it's the new FTW Championship, so we have to be careful there.
I don't think he's going to bring out the new FTW or FDW or FDR.
Yes.
I don't think he's going to bring that one out. He wouldn't bring it out unless it was going to be central to the ongoing situation.
Beyond all that, I thought the story was Ricky Starks did great as a heel, even though, it's a mixed audience. I thought he was more heel than anything else. Going back and forth with Punk, it worked. And he worked standing there with him, and that's one of those things you look for. How does it look and how does it feel when they're standing there doing a promo back and forth? And I thought it was great.
Yeah. So we got that.